Hello there. Evening. I suppose today I'll talk a bit about hockey. At least from my perception, what I understand about it. Free agency has come and gone. It was unremarkable to some. I liked the outcome of basically what's happened so far. I'll talk a little bit about the Canucks too. I was really glad they were able to re-sign Brock Besser because I think he, can achieve the 40 goal mark again on a team that may have less personal drama associated with it. Evander Kane being traded to Vancouver may or may not be a good decision. Evander Kane has to prove himself. He's got a contract at about $5 million that Vancouver has inherited from Edmonton. Patrick Kane. No, it's Evander Kane. They're two completely different people. Patrick Kane would never play for Vancouver, but in his heyday, he was the better player, in my opinion. Anyway, Evander Kane, he's got to prove himself. He hasn't had a 30-goal season in 6 years, and he's only achieved that twice. And he's been in the league actually quite a while now. Was it 16 years he's been in the NHL? And he's only had two 30-goal seasons. As far as, well, I'll simply say it, black players go in the NHL, he is the most outspoken and the most well-known, and in certain circles, a very popular character. Not in San Jose, though. In San Jose, they do not like him because of some, allegations of betting against your own team. Now, whether that was his wife making up stories or that actually was a thing, all that kind of stuff it stains the career. So whether that was true or not, the NHL decided that it wasn't true because there wasn't enough evidence. That's all, part of the show. We don't know. And, to be honest with you, I'm not that interested in that subject. Except that I don't want, as well as many other Vancouver Canuck fans, want any antics, anything like that. Like, we want to see this Vancouver team be better than they were last year. And, a lot of people were really disappointed that Vancouver did not make the playoffs. I actually saw one of their final games where they were playing the Seattle Kraken, and they lost 5-0. No sense of urgency. They didn't want to win. They didn't want to be in the playoffs. Soon after, Tocchet, took the first plane ticket to Philadelphia, and he's left. JT Miller, a little bit earlier on, couldn't get rid of that guy fast enough. He was an absolute prick. Now, some people are criticizing Elias Pettersson. They say he's a bit of a lemon head, that he has no personality. He's not contributing offensively, not for $11 million plus player. I would imagine that he would have quite the story if he wasn't obligated to keep his mouth shut, which is the impression I get. I think he would have a lot of intelligent things to say, and his problems with JT Miller were more than likely legitimate and the Canucks organization chose the player they wanted to keep. Now, whether JT Miller wanted to get out of there more than Pedersen, that's a possibility, probability. But at the end of the day, the Vancouver Canucks organization chose not to deal Pedersen because there are teams that would have taken up that contract. I had heard some stir about Buffalo, and there's definitely other teams that would take that up. With the salary cap era, any team, theoretically, if they made the right moves and reallocated some of their assets, could afford a guy like Elias Pettersson. And who knows, maybe he pulls it around and really makes a go at it this season. Vancouver didn't do too bad last year. I mean, their final stretch was abysmal, and you knew once you started hearing about the drama of JT Miller and Elias Pettersson that it was going to be not good news for Vancouver as far as that season goes, and it wasn't. But they still got 90 points. They weren't that far off. Some of those OT losses, had they been wins, which would have been entirely possible, they could have been in the playoffs. And who knows, got swept by Colorado or something. Anything could have happened. The Canucks organization has more or less decided to stay with the core. I really like that they kept Brock Besser. I believe in his character. I believe he can potentially become an elite goal scorer. When you score 40 goals, you tend to be up there in the clouds. And, I really feel he could contribute to the team, and it was a very good idea for them to sign him on. And $7 million, those dollars back in the day in the NHL, that used to mean you had an all-star team and you were probably going to win the Stanley Cup if you were able to afford a player like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that these days, but I do think Vancouver can do very well with the keeping of Brock Besser. As far as Vander Kane goes, there might be some, I'm just a pleb, and, whatever. But looking at it from the outside in, there could be some otherworldly potential here. Vander Kane is not like any other player in the NHL right now. He is the most notable black player in the NHL, and he has a sordid history, which a lot of fans don't like. And don't get me wrong, we need Vander Kane to play his best and not to cause any more drama in the Vancouver Canuck locker room. We don't need it. Don't want it. Put all that aside. Although he's been in the NHL quite a while, almost 16 years or more. He's had 230 goal seasons. He averages about 20 minutes a game, so that's a significant amount of time. But Vancouver gave up P.S. Sutter to acquire him. Now, I asked Google AI what was the reason they didn't sign Sutter for, an amount of time, because he, in fact, had, more goals than Kane did in his last season. He didn't play the last season, but the season before that, he played most of his season, I believe. And P.S. Sutter had more points than him. Hasn't been in the league as long. You do begin to wonder, why would they pick him, Vander Kane, over P.S. Sutter? Why didn't they try to keep both? I mean, what is with this Philip Sheetal guy? I probably said his name wrong. It's one thing to review somebody's stats, their historical records, and make judgments on that. But Shito, he's over 6 foot tall, 210 pound. He's physically fit. He's a hockey player, and I'm 200 pounds, 6 foot, and I'm unfit. So if he's towering above me and he's saying he can get the job done in a face-to-face, yeah, I'll believe him. But by looking at the stats, when you quickly do Google search it, he's got a lot to prove too. And he wasn't cheap. He's $4.5 million. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I know what a billion-dollar organization like the Vancouver Canucks is thinking, because they're on a whole other planet from us plebs. That's the reality. They have different reasons for why they do things, and they don't exactly explain them. In fact, in my last YouTube video I made recently, I was told that the NHL always fully discloses what they do with financial money, and they're very transparent and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, no, they're not. Every little thing they don't tell us. And that's fine. But could they give us a more complete picture which would make the sport more interesting? Absolutely they could. And this wouldn't even be an invasion of any player's privacy or anything like that. It's just, hey, this story's going on, instead of us going, well, what is going on? Like with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. There was more going on there. And I can tell you this, that Pettersson, he can't talk. He's not allowed to. And it shows. He's got that look about him, like he can't talk. Whatever reasons, he can't talk. And I bet he'd have a lot of interesting things to say. But, whatever the arguments he was having with JT Miller, I like to think that the disagreement over the Orca Canuck logo brought in by Mark Messier and his gang versus the skate logo, the emblem of Vancouver society, especially in 1994, but all throughout the 90s, basically. And in my opinion, is a better logo. It was a better jersey. Not that the Orca is aesthetically unpleasing, it's just I feel the skate was a better jersey. Some people like the color scheme better of the Orca because it reminds them of the stick in the rink jersey. I actually thought that jersey was really plain. I've even heard ideas of integrating that jersey with the skate. No, that would be a horrible idea. Don't do that. Yeah. So, will the Canucks be a better team? Possibly. Why has Vancouver chosen this avenue to, put up the best performance for their fan base? I do not know. We'll watch, but there's a lot of unanswered questions. And will Vancouver be a better team? And is Evander Kane capable of scoring over 30 goals? Now, I said that he plays about 20 minutes a game, and that's quite a chunk of time to score a goal here and there and get to the 30 goal mark. There are plenty of players with less ice time than he gets on average and can score more goals. But maybe that's not his job when he's on the ice. Maybe he's got a different job. He probably does. Get a goal when he has to, but $5 million. It sounds like a lot for a player who can't really, doesn't look like it, get 30 goals this season. We'll see, though. Maybe I'm wrong. No way of knowing. But, P.S. Sutter, he had to go because there was no salary cap room for him. And the Canucks didn't want to pay him $4 million. for some reason. Even though he did kind of prove himself, he's still a young talent, relatively young talent. And yeah, it just didn't bother. So, I mean, looking at the numbers, obviously, offhand, it looks like to have more scoring, you need players that have definitively scored still on the roster. Like, supposing Evander Kane is only as good as 20 goals. Therefore, with Pia Sutter leaving, the team has not actually accumulated more goals based on that statistic and the likelihood of that happening again in the next season. They've taken away a player that can score goals, decided not to pay him $4 million, and accepted that they're paying $5 million ish for Evander Kane, who knows what point total he's going to get. And some people go, well, he just came back from the Edmonton Oilers, back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. Very much so. And they lost twice in a row. So it's not exactly the same as picking up a player from Florida, for example, which I heard a lot of stir about. Toronto wanted to pick up a player from Florida. Started off with Sam Bennett. No way. Sam Bennett signed with Florida. In my opinion, they're paying him too much. He was a minus 25 and he had 25 goals. I don't think he's that good. But they paid him $8 million, so I guess they thought he was that good, and that's what matters. Brad Marchand, Toronto wanted him too. And it was just like, no way Brad Marchand was going to Toronto. I knew that. And I knew it was important for Florida to pick him up. And, again, they're not going to pay him. They are going to pay him, but he's not going to play until he's 43. So however that works, Marchand will be doing well. And they said signed Ekblad again as well for, because the team really believes they can win another Stanley Cup. And that should be a huge motivating factor. I mean, there's so many players, it's all about the bottom dollar. And as soon as they win a cup, they feel they've been as successful as possible and with that team, and they've got what they wanted, and now they want more money. But I think players should be more driven by the concept of actually believing they're going to win another Stanley Cup. Because I don't think Montour went to Seattle with a vision that they were going to win another Stanley Cup, or he was going to win another one in Seattle, I should say. I don't believe that's the case. I think he went there for money, and maybe he enjoys being there and being paid a little bit more than he would have been paid in Florida, but he'd have another Stanley Cup ring if he'd stayed in Florida, accepted less money. And, the other players have made more foolish decisions in their life. Eric Lindros being one of the prime candidates for someone who could have won Stanley Cups, but because he had a little hissy fit and, insisted on being traded, that didn't happen for him. And whether he regrets that or not, who knows? But and whether Montour regrets going to Seattle or not, or that he would admit that he regrets it, who knows? So yeah, we are hoping for the best out of Evander Kane and none of his antics. Perhaps he can transfer some of his antics capabilities and transmute them into NHL play so that he can help the team win, get them into the playoffs. And then hopefully Quinn Hughes gets the idea that he wants to stay in Vancouver, because if Quinn Hughes goes, then it's not good news. Not good news at all. All speculative at this point. Don't know anything. And that's kind of the magic of the NHL. Although I wish they'd tell us a little bit more about it. But anyway, I'll leave you people with your thoughts. Talk to you later.